why is it that when I screen mirror and I see on my laptop, it is like this never, so my laptop is seeing what's on the phone and the phone is screen mirroring, but when I put the phone on the laptop, it's like this, never-ending maze. Welcome to the Matrix. Now, perhaps one of these days we'll get the angle down, but until then, we'll just keep experimenting. I'm finally coming to the acceptance of how gaggy this little screen monitoring situation is. Anyways, we're here. Hello, welcome. We've done a lot of catching up. We've done a lot of backstory, and I feel like it is finally time for me to just share about where I'm at. Yeah, I'm in my loner era. In my last video, I had said that I didn't have friends, and that's not true because I do have friends. I just have 2 right now, unless I then tack on like my cousin and my mom fulfilling like double roles of like friends and family members, but really just 2 friends. One of them is like long distance and still kind of new, and then the other one is an old college friend that I'm still in contact with. But I feel like when I just said in my last video that I didn't have any friends, I just meant like, I think I just missed having like a person and having a best friend. I went through aren't all friendship breakups slightly traumatic in a way, because there is this ambiguous loss where you've like lost the person and you've lost the relationship that you literally had ceased to exist, and you may not know why it ended. Because I feel like with romantic breakups, it's like, oh, we're breaking up because we are working in different places, you cheated on me. It's a little bit more defined, but I feel like friendships aren't as defined as romantic relationships. So when there is an eventual breakup, you will feel that ambiguous loss, and that grief of friendship breakups can sometimes feel I feel like for me, my friendship breakups often feel harder than my romantic relationships. It could be because I've never actually been attracted to anyone that I've been in a romantic relationship, and it's always been I'm taking on their feeling situation. Isn't that crazy? I'm 26 years old and I've never been with someone that I'm like genuinely attracted to. I've never even actually met someone in real life. I mean, I watch the TVs, honey. I watch the YouTube. I sometimes see on my TikTok attractive people that I am actually attracted to, and I'm like, goddamn. But in real life, maybe it's just because I've been in the Midwest, I gotta get out there and travel more. I have not ran into any attractive guys. There are so many attractive women in the Midwest, specifically Minnesota, full of the beautiful baddies, like, and I wish I was more gay than I am. I'm like, hello, representing, she rolling with the LGBT. I'm a little bit gay, and I tried to be full-on gay a couple years post traumatic incident violation crime in college, because I think it was just a trauma response to be like, men violating horrible experience, would rather be with women. And then that is how I found out, after 3 years of actively trying to be gay and trying to force myself into being a lesbian, I realized you actually really don't get to choose your sexuality. Because if I could choose, I would be gay down. All the beautiful women around me, I'm like, I love you. But I just go a little bit, it's just innate. I'm just 70% more attracted to men than I am women. Blah. Anyways, I'm in my loner era right now. Let me catch you up on where I've been. Wait, this is no more catch up. This is, I'm so used to sitting down and being like, hey, so I died the last couple of years and now I'm coming back alive. So let me catch you up on my death. But now we're reborn. I'm in this new era. Guys, I haven't been with anyone in 3 years. And by been with anyone in 3 years, I literally mean I haven't kissed, I haven't held a hand, I haven't hugged anyone in 3 years. In the sense of like the like romantic intimacy. Like I hug my friends, I hug my family members. It's a little bit different. Actually, I feel like I need to hug my family members and my friends more because I'm in this like 3-year, celibacy, they say, is tied to religious purposes. I'm not religious, don't believe in religion. I don't think you need to be saved. I think you have all the power within yourself, and we're just quite frankly scared of how powerful we are, because it can be kind of scary to realize how powerful you are in terms of like being able to create your own reality. But abstinence is what they say when you're like refraining from having sex. But I feel like I'm kind of giving incel, because there just hasn't been anyone the past 3 years that has been in my orbit that's been like, oh yeah, I can climb that, hop on that, ride it into the sunset. So yeah, I haven't kissed anyone since I was 23. I'm 26. And maybe that had some type of factor into my nervous system shut down I went through last year. But other than that, the friends, I feel like growing up, I always had friends. And I feel like I've always had like a girl best friend. I think my girl best friend changed from like my childhood years into my high school years, into my college years, and then my post-college years. So I've had like 4 girl best friends, and it's like, it's your girl, that's your person. Like, you can say whatever, text them with the craziest shit, like call them at any hours of the night, and it's just like you two are always there for each other. But I've grown out of my recent girl best friend, and this is the first time in my life where I like don't have a best friend. I don't have a person. And so that's why I'm like, I'm in my loner era. And I think that is a reason why my mom is so concerned for me. She's like, you don't, have a career with people that you can relate to or connect with, and you don't have, she's always like, I just pray you have a good husband. Oh, I always want you to find a good husband. I think she just really wants me to be taken care of. And I grew out of my last girl best friend relationship because I wasn't able to receive the level of care that I was putting in the relationship. And I'm just in a phase in my, I don't know if it's a phase of my life, it's a season of my life, or if it's just quite simply my personality, where it's like I either love you and I'm full in and we're 10,000 feet deep locked in, or I just don't know you at all. I know some people can have friends where they're like, oh, we just don't talk, and then we meet up and it's like we're picking up from where we last left off. And I've had relationships like that in the past, but I think just right now, with the capacity I have in rehabilitating myself, I was basically out there in the world, had all these friends, doing all the fun stuff, going out every weekend, building my own business, actively being in a startup community, cosplaying corporate during the day, learning spirituality at night. Girl, I burnt myself out. I worked myself into a misery, and then my body, this was actually a really great thought I had yesterday on the treadmill. Who freaking has good thoughts on the treadmill? I don't know, I'm turning over a new leaf, y'all. We're in a new season. That when, gosh, I just was like flooded with emotions of my shutdown period. Sometimes I think about the challenges that I went through the past couple of years and how I utterly burnt out so bad. It takes me back for a second. It's like, whoo, it's like, oh my gosh, I can breathe. I'm here. I'm safe. I'm alive. I'm whole. I'm complete on my own. And it's such a growth mindset evolution to be like, I am still worthy just the way I am. My worth is not set on how much I can produce, considering the last year, 2 years of my life, I failed to produce anything after producing at such a high volume years before. And then I just completely retracted, and there would be days I would go without talking to people and just being in my house, being super scared and feeling really helpless and feeling really powerless. Woo! Taking a deep breath. Sometimes when I get really, really big emotions and I want to shut down, I remind myself there is a time and a place. There is a time to sit on your floor and have a big wah cry. Like, seriously, when was the last time you got to, personally the floor, hello, I'm sitting on the floor right now. The floor is very grounding for me, but when was the last time you got to have a big wah cry? Honestly, I'm glad I started watching Korean TV and movies, just TV, because they're so emotional, and it almost was like giving me visual permission to be like, I can sit and cry like, what? It's like you cry and you sound like a child, and I feel like some of the portrayal of emotion that I've seen in my K-dramas is they're like crying as if they're kids. And I think growing up in a household with immigrant parents that did not have the accessibility, did not have the time and capacity to cry or be scared, they just had to put their head down and keep on the tenacious effort to work day in and day out regardless of the struggles. Oh, it was really taken on. I really, really took that on, but just watching K-dramas this last year, I was like, wait, I can cry like that. And at first when I got into, I think maybe this is another thing too. I don't want to, this is just a phase. This is just an era. This is just a season. I pray to God and the universe and my future self that I am not a loner for the rest of my life, but I'm just in my loner era right now. And I'm thinking about, what is this teaching me? That, right? Because that's, for me, is very empowering to just move on with my life and the challenges and the struggles. And if I'm going through a dark, deep, misunderstood time, instead of dwelling in it like, oh, boo-hoo, why me? I think there's a time and a place for that, but then also getting up and making the time and the space to be like, okay, what is this teaching me? What part of myself is this bringing forward? Because what I've come to realize, I worked with I'm gonna sit back and get comfortable with you. I worked with a young analyst for 2 years. A young analyst is not young like Y-O-U-N-G, young like Carl Jung, J-U-N-G. If you don't know Carl Jung, he is, I believe he's an American psychologist, and his whole thing was the unconscious, subconscious, and conscious, and how your dreams bring you messages and symbols. And his thing was basically kind of like how you see the world is a reflection of your own inner world and what's going on inside of you. And so the therapist that I worked with for 2 years, and the last therapist that I worked with, was a young analyst. So she studied under like the Carl Jung curriculum and modality for years and years and years and years. And I remember in our sessions, she would have me write down my dreams in as much detail as I could, and then we'd like bring my dreams to each therapy session. We'd start the session by just going through the dream and analyzing like what my unconscious, subconscious is trying to communicate to me consciously, and like what's been repressed and suppressed. It's really cool. And in that, having this more holistic view on the world and life. And so if I'm in my loner era right now, and I would say I'm in a career pivot, right? I want to be more mindful of my language and not be like, oh, I don't have a career and I don't have friends. No, I'm just in a transition season in my life where I came from this like group of friends, and they served their purpose, and I'm grateful that for our time together, and recognizing that in your 20s, you're gonna lose friends, okay? It's a universal thing. In your 20s, you're gonna grow up, and the people that you thought were gonna be maybe like your best friends, and you talked about being at each other's weddings, like, you're not gonna be friends with them. And I think that grief breaks you down so that more love and light can come through. I just got to think that way, right? Like, I may have been through more than people have gone through in their personal lives at my age of 26. And so I can't think like all the bad things that happen to me make me less than, or make me undesirable, or make me broken. And while I feel like certain situations did break me, I like to think of it as like, okay, it's breaking so that more can flow through. That's just how I gotta go. This whole entire loner era is right now, I feel like, teaching me that I'm safe to be completely myself. And before I can get in new intimate relationships, whether that's romantic or friendships, or I feel like even business career wise, like I said, I'm a very deep, intimate person. Hello, like, I'm sharing a majority of my life with you. It's just who I am. Before I can make new relationships and have new relationships, I think I needed to have this era to be able to have that wah cry on my own. Because when I first started crying, I feel like I'd always cry a lot, but it was always like a whimpered hush cry. I always tried to make it as silent as possible because I didn't want to burden other people with my emotions. And over the past year, so many times crying, I'm finally at a place where I can, when I feel like I really need to cry, I can just sit on the floor and have a really big cry. And I feel like I've done that with two of my friends, the two friends that I have now. I've been able to like cry in front of them, and it's teaching my body, and it's teaching me, more importantly, not teaching the body. Does she really? I mean, she does get taught, but I feel like the body is such a visual learner. Like, you gotta show your body that it's safe. And I feel like this loner era is showing my body that I'm safe to be myself, that I am safe to speak my mind, and I'm safe to share my truth, and I'm safe to have differing opinions. Hello, throwback to the Outcast video that I just posted. Like, I'm safe to be unique, and I'm safe to be weird, and I'm more prevalent to me right now, safe to express my emotions to the fullest extent. Something in the spiritual season, I mean, obviously you can't encapsulate years into a 30-minute video, so there are a lot of things I left out in that spiritual season video. But something that I learned from my spiritual season is that when people get physical ailments, some people believe that it starts in the like emotional field first. Someone is calling me, but honey, you and me are locked in right now. This is more important. And so you think of yourself as like this physical vessel, right? That's like one layer of energy. And then just for a second, think about like 4 inches outside of you. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool how you can be like, whoa, why do I have the consciousness capability to envision, like, you can feel 4 inches above your head, right? And it kind of brings you into this experience. You're like, whoa, 4 inches in front of me. Then imagine like another foot, another 12 inches, another, what is that in metric standards? 20 centimeters? I don't know how many centimeters is a foot. But so imagine your body 4 inches outside of you, like completely around you. Then another 12 inches on top of that 4 inches. So now you're 16 inches outside of you. And then another 12 inches outside of you on top of that. I'm just gonna let you like feel into like your energetic aura field right now. Are you feeling that? Yeah, it's really cool. And so in the spiritual season that I went through, some things that were said around me were that things go into your emotional field. Oh, I think they call it like lower mental body. So it's like your thoughts, the energy of your thoughts is that like outside ring. And then it's the energy of your emotions. And then it's the energy of, I forget of what's the one like 4 inches right outside of you that's close to you. I forget what they call that one. And then it's your physical. But basically, the train of thought here is that if your thought has some energy, your emotional has some energy that isn't like resolved, I guess, that it just keeps pushing in until it's in your physical ailment. So I don't know. That's where I got a little bit lost in the spiritual stuff though, because there is a performance, or I don't know if other people were performing. I know I was performing in thinking that I could control the outside and not let it come to the physical. But now that I'm living more from the space of my body, I'm coming to this greater acceptance of thinking like, oh, maybe all of the stuff that is in the emotional is like meant to happen. And so yeah, I'm in this place where I definitely think everything just happens the way that it's meant to happen. I don't need to overanalyze it. I don't need to put a story to it. I mean, the brain loves putting a story to things. Like, I think your brain almost lives on putting a story to things, to making sense of things. And I'm in this loner era of just letting go. Like now when I cry, I think before when I cry, I used to be like, I need to pinpoint exactly why I'm crying, and I need to figure out what about the situation is making me cry, and I need to figure out where in my past this would influence why I'm crying about this thing. And now I'm just like, okay, I'm crying. And I like say out loud to myself when I'm crying, because of course the train of thoughts just run. But I say to myself, like, I don't need to overanalyze this. I don't need to pinpoint where this came from. And I think the whole overanalyzing, overthinking comes from previous traumas, being in situations where I maybe didn't have a choice for a brief moment, being in situations where I did have to give up my power for my survival and for my safety. And when you get out of situations where you've been betrayed, I mean, like even the friend thing, I think you oftentimes can overthink and be like, well, what happened? And again, it's all about your brain trying to protect you and being like, okay, we need to analyze everything that went on in the past so that we can ensure it doesn't happen again, and we can set up the right boundaries and parameters so that it doesn't happen again. But I'm trying to let go of some of that and just trust that I got me, and more importantly, I can't control other people. I cannot control other people. I can only control myself. And even at sometimes it feels a little bit, uncontrollable within the self with really high emotions, but then falling back on the deep breaths and practicing taking deep breaths in moments when I'm not nervous or emotionally charged, so that it can be in my back pocket. It's like muscle ready tool anytime I'm feeling uncomfortable or I'm starting to grow out of like my green zone. If green is like you're stable, head on a swivel, you're thinking very clearly, and I start to get out of that for whatever external context, to my body immediately goes, okay, take a deep breath and try and get as close as we can to that green zone so that we can think clearly. And this loner era of mine, no friends, but got 2 friends, no fulfilling career, not really sure where I'm going with the career. Like I've said, I do feel like sharing my life story on the internet does feel like part of my career. Should I go get an astrology reading for that? Oh, although I might still need to be taking a little bit of a break from seeking external input in my life. That's where I was. I think there was so much noise in my life, from the corporate job, the startup entrepreneurship community, from this like spiritual world that I was diving into. There was just a lot of input. And so I feel like I couldn't hear myself. And I even remember one of my friends telling me at the time, like, there just seems to be so much noise around you. It's like you can't even hear yourself. And when you think about it, like, have you ever been in a room and it's like a networking situation, and so there are many, many conversations going on around you, and then like the person in front of you is trying to talk to you, but you're like picking up on everyone else's conversations, and you're like, oh my God, the brain power to focus in on this conversation that I'm having is proving to be very difficult. I feel like this loner era is me focusing on myself and acknowledging, maybe accepting, recognizing the fact that focusing on myself right now is not abandoning the world. It looks like just a season in my life where I am my main responsibility. I am right now focused on just rehabilitating. I mean, can I even call it rehabilitating though? Because I'm not interested in going back to what I once was living my life as. But I mean, first and foremost, my health. Like, I need to get my health in check. This past year I've gained 40 pounds, and I'm not that vain where it's so much so about what I look like, but also just having a happy, joyful, fulfilling relationship with myself. I would love to look and feel my greatest without it being so centered around like being skinny is the only way that I'll be happy, because honey, I was skinny and I was miserable, and the self-restriction, I'm in the opposite of a self-restriction era, and it just happens to be coupled with the loner era of spending a majority of my days alone. Like, I do consciously try to get out there and like see my mom like once a week, or my grandma once a month, and I'll try and hang out with my friend that's here like once a month. Sometimes it doesn't work out because my friend has a very full life and she's in a very different season of her life. I think that's what I miss. I'm in my loner era because I don't know anyone else that is in the same season of life right now where you sort of kind of just walked away from your old life because you're like, I deep down just know I am worth more and I deserve more, and it feels like my purpose is in a different sector of my life that hasn't bloomed yet, but the new sector of your life that you walked away from your old one from hasn't fully shown up in your physical reality yet. So you're just kind of like, hey, I'm alone. I walked away from all these jobs and all these people and all these ways of thinking, and I took this time to myself to develop this new way of thinking, and I really love my mindset right now, but I'm still alone and my physical reality isn't showing me my people. But that's where you come along. Did you like that? That little that's where you come along. That's where this community comes along. I am being radically irresponsible for my life. I'm standing in my power. If I don't want to be in my loner era anymore and I want to do something about it, I feel like I'm ready to. A safe way to start putting myself out there is, girl, on the internet. I think it's good just to like let this out, because like I said, I didn't finish my train of thought there, which I watched one of my past video, and there was a part where I said something about my name and I wanted to tell you about like my last name, and then I just never finished that train of thought. So I am a little bit jumpy. I think I'm excited. Just a lot of thoughts come out, but it's better than having it all just, I almost want to say like trapped within or like suppressed within. But my days right now kind of just look like me waking up at 8 a.m. I am trying to be on a consistent schedule to show my body that I am safe and get good sleep. I mean, for 2 years, I just couldn't sleep, and it was absolute hell, girl. Taurus rising down, love and need my sleep. But wake up at 8 a.m., try to get in some type of movement. I've been going to the gym. I've been going to Solid Core, getting some type of like physical activity in, coming back, showering, eating, taking a little break, whether that's like watching TV, because I feel like after all this exercising, and I haven't been very active lately, my body is like, okay, I need to like sit and watch a YouTube video, or I need to sit and read my book. I need to do something like restorative after being so active in the morning. And also eating and like learning to hear my hunger cues again, because I was in such a high place of stress the past 2 years, experiencing like burnout and walking away from everything. I like lost my own hunger cues, but there's also an element of like an eating disorder and so much of that restrictiveness, which that's going to go into a completely different video. I I have so many ideas. I have so many videos. I have so many things to share with you. I'm so excited. But then after I eat, I come and I sit and I'm like, okay, if I would like to spend my days like in connection with friends, maybe I can start it by sharing my thoughts on the internet in my own little cute abode of the internet. Don't you? Have you ever realized that everyone just has their own little street? Everyone has like their own little house on the internet, and you can like invite people into your house. Sometimes you got to kick them out because they're just not your people, but for the most part, it's great to see people find their communities on the internet. So I'm just gonna keep talking and speaking my truth and sharing about me and my life and whatever feels calling to me. I'm very like intuitive in my life, but also it extends to me posting these videos. Like sometimes I just get a hit and I'm like, okay, sit down, screen mirror on the laptop, get comfy, turn on the fireplace, talk your shit, and record a video, and then I'll go on my evening sunset walk, and then I'll come in, I'll edit the video, I'll do some more reading, do some more watching TV, sometimes I color, sometimes I paint, and then that's a day. So I spend my days primarily alone unless I go to the gym and do like a workout class, which I feel like is why I really like doing workout classes. So I'm in my loner era. There you go. I think there's also an element of, hello, pushing the needle in human evolution by being so alone. I mean, I think there is like a whole loneliness epidemic. And when I think about it from the perspective of like, what is this teaching us, and like how could this possibly be benefiting us? What part of our own human nature is coming up to support us in this season of loneliness? For me, I'm like, I think we're pushing the needle in human evolution, because 200 years ago, if you weren't with the group, you were very unlikely to survive. You'd be like out in the woods and shit, you know? Whereas like in the communities and villages, you'd have the fire, you'd have the food, you'd have people taking care of each other. But if you were ostracized and you were lonely, alone, that to your nervous system was like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. I have to look out for all these threats on my own and be alert 100%. So now that have the resources and the material innovation to fully take care of ourselves, okay, let's be alone and continue pushing the expansiveness of human evolution and human consciousness. Wow! And on that note, I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. If you're in your loner era, no shame. If shame does come up, draw it out, girl. I drew my shame monster, and then I wrote, it's this really cool art activity I did in the somatic program that I'm in. I drew my shame monster, what shame looks like, where I feel it in my body. And then I went in and I decorated the shame monster, and I put like a cute little bow on it. I made it have glasses. I put like a little mustache on it. I put overalls on it, a little tutu. And then it's just, you know, making the monsters in your head a little bit more friendly and manageable and fun. We're here to have fun. Okay, see you in the next one. Bye.